everyone. Welcome to this very special episode of the Science Dispatch podcast. I'm your host, Ana Dolaskie. I am the video producer at the American Council on Science and Health. And today I am so excited and a little nervous to officially take over for the day for our regular host and your favorite, Cameron English. But hey, moms, if you're listening, this one's for you. School's out for the summer, and I am just going to declare this a full-on mom pod takeover. If whether you like it or not, and joining me today as my lovely co-host is the wonderful Desiree English. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Desiree, you're not only a fantastic writer, you have recently joined the ACSH team. We can talk more about that in just a minute. But you're also a science educator of high school students. Bless your soul. Yes. And most importantly, you're a mom. So a science educator, a mom. Between the two of us, I think we have a lot of mom chaos that we can talk about. I don't know, how much time do you have?
Well, I have two little gremlins running around, so negative time at all times.
All of a sudden they got quiet though, but I could hear them in the background earlier, and I thought that might make for some really interesting podcast.
You know, my husband is corralling my daughter, so give him some patience. Go either way. She's truly my mini, and she is super chaotic and super high energy and super rambunctious, and it's just. My mom was always like, I hope you get a girl just like you. And I did.
So what you're telling me is we have a lot of content, like a lot of good nuggets we can discuss today.
So many nuggets.
The special podcast. And hey, I should say, Cameron, if you're listening, we promise we'll be nice to your podcast. We might even keep some science in there intact. But really, I think the focus today is something that a lot of us desperately need as summer kicks off. Real evidence-based conversations and just two moms talking about motherhood without the hype, without the guilt, or the endless pressures to be perfect. And honestly, I don't know about you. I think you're going to tell me because I'm going to pivot to you, Desiree, but I think that starts with letting kids be as bored as possible this summer.
Yeah. So my first article that I wrote for ACSH was an article about letting kids be bored. And I wrote this article because I was, of course, doom scrolling. And I was just getting bombarded with like, easy activities for your kids, and your kids should be doing this, and your kids should be doing that. And by the way, those easy activities for your kids required at least 15 different materials, paint, huge messes, like super like intense setup. And they're like, this is going to be quick and easy. I'm like, in no way, shape, and form does that look quick and easy. That looks like it's going to take me 30 minutes to set up. They're going to play with it for 10 minutes. They're going to make a mess. I will once again have negative time. And I just was sitting there, I'm thinking, like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Like, why do we feel the need to, do these elaborate things? And I'm not hating on, like, these mom influencers who set that stuff up. They love their children. It's amazing that they're doing that for their kids. But once again, it's raising the bar, right? We moms in the modern era feel guilty enough. We're working. We are trying to be super mom. We're trying to be great at our jobs. And now we need to set up this 15-step easy summer activity to keep our kids entertained. I'm like, no. Like, what does this say? So I did some research. And
oh boy, here we go. Here's some truths.
And the science actually says that boredom is good for your kids. Okay, let them be bored. And I'm not saying, like, never, ever, ever do anything from this. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is pull out a toy or two, set on some background music, and just let them have at it. Release them into the backyard and let them figure it out. Their brains are developing right now. They're developing all these neural connections. And it's not going to develop as well if we are setting up activities for them all the time. Right? Because they're not allowing themselves to be creative. But when you just like release them into the wild, if you will, of your living room or your backyard, and they're looking at the materials and the stuff that they have, and they're coming up with they start imagining things, and they start playing. And I've just seen such magical things come out of my kids when I just let them be.
Yeah, and that's such a good, boredom sparks creativity. I think I either read that somewhere else or I've thought it or you wrote it specifically in the article, but I have seen it time and time again with my kids when I put them to this test. I mean, it is just so easy, and I think oftentimes, at least for me, maybe it's the same for you, like at least when they were a little younger, I worried about like the whining coming back or like if they're struggling with something that they can't finish on their own. I'm like, hurry up, can I just help him fix this? Can I help? Can I interject? And oftentimes what you find is if you just kind of step back, count to 10, count to 20, take a step back, leave the room, as long as they're safe, right? Depending on their age, like let them figure it out too. So I think that goes side by side too, is like boredom sparks creativity, but let them also figure it out versus stepping in and helping them every step of the way.
Yeah, it also increases their problem solving skills, right? Because they're faced with a problem and they're like, how do I come about this? And as a high school teacher, to be honest, I think this is great for them because I teach 14 and 15-year-olds, okay? And they cannot handle being bored, right? They can't problem solve sometimes. And it's just so disheartening, the level of like learned helplessness, if you will. And I'm just like, I can set directions straight in front of them and they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, read the instructions.
Figure it out.
Look at the assignment.
Yes.
Listen when I say, like literally in my classroom, I have, depending on the activity, of course, I have a policy where I'm like, I'm not going to give you instructions because the instructions are on paper and you are going to read the instructions with your partner. And then you are going to ask your partner a question if you don't understand something. And if you have done those things and you still need help, ask me then.
I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and why is that the same as the high schoolers, right? Like I tell them, hey, check with your eyes, listen with your ears. Like I want them to figure it out, not because I don't know the answer, because trust me, I have done it many, many times where I offer the help and sometimes even, like I said, like interject instead of letting them do it. But I just think it's so important. And I think a lot of that is tied into raising emotionally regulated kids, because if they can sort it on their own, and yes, it was tricky, and yes, maybe they got overwhelmed or angry, like it sort of lets them cope, right? Over time, they can learn to cope with a situation that's tricky or difficult versus what you said, learned helplessness is just helping them get through it.
So what do you define as like a child who has great regulation skills?
Oh my gosh. So look, I mean, they're not going to be perfect, right? And I think oftentimes we as moms want to see results, now, that instant gratification. But I think everything that I have read, listen, I'm not a therapist. This is not like official advice, but everything that I've been reading and just my own experiences with my children is you are essentially setting up the building blocks, right? So when I say what is a successfully emotionally regulated child, a child that maybe takes a deep breath, takes a deep breath. And I've seen this in my own children, and I go, sometimes I'll go, don't blow your top. We've read that book too. Like, don't blow your top. Count to 10, I've also heard, self-deprecating sentences like, oh, I can't do this. I suck at this, and that's not to say that my child is not regulated. He's just not there yet. He's 8 years old and he's building toward it.
To be there at 8 years old. My children are younger than yours, and we're working on it all the time.
All the time.
Like, hey, I see you're upset. Do you need to go take a minute? Or just all that fun stuff. Like I don't think I'm as far in my like teaching my children to self-regulate journey I don't think I'm as far as you are. But my children are also a lot younger.
Yeah. But I think that you are probably ahead of me of where I was when my children were your ages, right? Because I think that I didn't really maybe have the patience I'm admitting a lot on this podcast here. This is just like a therapy session.
Well, I feel like we never have enough patience as moms. Like, I feel like I'm always asking for more patience. I'm forever asking for more. I need endless patience, please.
But I think what's different for me now is like, I will say to my kids, like, hey, I'm losing my patience a little bit here, and I'm open with them and honest about my feelings. And every now and then it comes out from my 8-year-old. He'll say, I'm frustrated. And I go, yes. I don't love that you're frustrated, but yes, I love that you said that. I love that
they can recognize it enough to communicate it, because that means that they're recognizing how they're feeling. And like, I feel like as a teacher, I have anywhere from 30 to 36 kids in the classroom. I am woefully outnumbered. And unfortunately,
You're a saint.
I am not. I mean, if I have to work, it's a great job. I love it. I love the kids. They are the best, but also sometimes the worst part of the job.
Did you hear that, podcast listeners?
Well, I mean, like, even like you can have a class set like I have had this one in class, and they had literally their average grade for everyone in the class was like an A, and they were all super smart, but they would not stop talking for the life of me. And I'm like, I just need you to stop talking so I can tell you what I need to tell you, and then I'll release you to do your work. And just trying to talk long enough to get through the instructions was so hard.
Sometimes you gotta, man. Like, we're not perfect humans. We can't expect our children to be perfect humans. And whereas, like, before, and listen, you call it a journey. I'm on the journey too. It's up and down, right? But whereas, like, I took an extreme approach one time where I would be like, I have to be perfect every time, right? Or I'm traumatizing my children, or I'm, screwing them up for later in life. And this is the only thing they're going to remember in their childhood. Now I'm more like, you know what? Sometimes they're not listening. And you know what? Sometimes we got to be like, listen, you got to snap out of it. Mom's losing patience. I need you to do this now.
Right.
And now I'm not more like losing sleep over it, saying like, oh man, I was harsh. And if I was harsh, I apologize. And we just move on.
Right. Absolutely. And it's one of those things where every mom knows when you see a mom with a child under her arm leaving a park, you know she asked that dang kid like 5 kids to 5 minutes, put your shoes on. It's time to go. We have to go to the dentist.
She did the thing, yeah.
You know she did the things, right? Yeah, like you're not, like I never see a mom with a struggling toddler in her arms and go, oh, she must not have done the things. I know. She did the things. That mom's a saint, and she's doing her best. And it is what it is.
You know, there was 10 minutes of it prior that you didn't see where she was patient and kind and trying to explain to a toddler or a young child. Yeah.
I feel like, especially with everything that's going on social media, all of these influencers in different genres of the momosphere and all of the information, it's very easy to compare yourself to all of these other mothers in the world and see a tiny snippet of what they're doing, whether it's true or not, because let's face it, it's the internet, people lie, and think that there's no way you can compare, right? There's no way I can compare to the mom who does the 20 item, 30-minute setup activity to keep her kids busy while she cooks a homemade breakfast from scratch. Like there's no way, right? But the reality is that
there they are. I love it.
There she is.
It's real, guys. We're real moms, not staged actors,
right? But there's no way anyone can compare, right? Like even I don't even think that mom can actually live up to the standards that she's placing online, especially when you get into the world of like science, right? When you bring science into parenting and all this other stuff, there's just so much information. Like you can probably spend endless amount of time researching and trying to figure out, should I do this for my child? Should I not do this for my child? Should I do baby-led weaning? Should I do purees for their first food? There's just not enough time in the world. There isn't.
No, and there's so much pressure. There is. I mean, social media does put a lot of pressure on moms. And look, we're not saying anything novel here. You know, this has been discussed before, but I think it's very real in our realm. And you and I just discussing this prior to this podcast, like we could tell there were a lot of similarities. We go through a lot of the same stuff, even though our kids are a little bit of an age gap, but we've been through the same thing, but there's a lot of pressure on moms, like to feed our kids the right way, to discipline them the correct way. And it's like, oh my gosh, you make one wrong move and that's it, right? And sometimes you just got to log off and be like, all right, a lot of the moms on social media, yes, like their advice, if you will, is maybe rooted in love and positivity, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I don't know that they realize what they're putting out there for us. I don't
absolutely.
know that they realize the pressure that they're putting on us. And I don't think I'm baited by that any longer because I recognize it now. I recognize it and I go, yeah, we're going to move on from that because you're making me feel like I didn't do enough with my kids today.
Right. And being a mom is so hard, right? Because it's one of those things where you are managing day to day, right? Trying to keep your kids, engaged,
regulated,
giving them
like
time to be bored, being them regulated. And it's one of those things where you really don't know how what you're doing is going to pay off, right? Because you're doing all these things and the goal is to eventually get a wonderful adult, right? Like I want my child to be kind. I want him to be understanding. I want them to be strong. And I want them to be all of these things. And I'm hopefully laying the foundation for that right now. It's just so crazy to see that the little things we're doing now, we're not going to see the results of that until like 15, 20 years down the road, which is just insane to me.
But also, Desiree, like, yes, I agree with everything you're saying. But, you know, sometimes I have not been kind. Sometimes I have not been strong as an adult, right? Like there are things that we have done, you know, we've made mistakes. So also I think like giving them that space and allowing them to have space to make mistakes. Yes, we're going to generally raise kind humans and that's the goal, right? But yeah, man, there's been moments where I haven't been kind to someone or even my children, you know? So knowing and learning how to apologize, I think is a really, really important thing. If there's anything that can come out with.
Absolutely. My kiddos have been trained in the apology. They're 2 and 4, so that's not like the most genuine apology at this point. But they know when they hurt each other, they are expected to give hugs and say sorry and be kind. And my daughter will literally like stomp to her brother and go sorry, and then throw her arms around him real quick.
And you're like, all right, that was scripted, but we're gonna take it as a win.
I'm like, I'll take it as a win, and then we're gonna wait. A little bit. I'll give you a little bit of time before I expect it to be a little bit better because my son's better about it for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All of the things we have to think about. And now I recently saw this term. I don't know if you're aware, but I think you and I align a lot on, you know, discipline approaches and how we feed our kids and what we do with them just from the short time that I've gotten to know you. And I think there's a term for that now, like we are evidence-based moms. Have you heard of that term?
I have loosely heard of it. So there's this like long list of different mom types, and that's definitely one of them. It's definitely true. Like I can tell you, I've never done as much research on anything until I became a mom. I think I've done more research in the last 5 years since I've had my children on what I have to do for them than I did in college, than I did in high school. Like just endless research on what the heck is the best thing for them, because there's just there's so much crap to like wade through on the internet, right? Like don't do this, do that. And it's just, the noise is just so loud, and it's just hard to understand who's there to tell you the best thing versus who's there to sell you something.
Every time I wash a carton of strawberries, I think there is a mom or somebody out there that's going to tell me not to feed these strawberries to my children because they're not organic. You know, and that's what we say when we say evidence-based parenting. I think it's just funny that we have to be termed that, you know, because our parents certainly weren't termed any of that. You know, I'm happy that my children will, you know, devour a carton of strawberries in one sitting. And that's what's happening this summer. The school's out and they're home and they're constantly
So your berry bill's
snacking.
going up?
Absolutely. And you know they're not cheap. They're especially not where we're from. So now I have to think about that. I have to think about where my husband, who I'm sent to the grocery store, which aisle he bought the strawberries from. Give me a break. They're eating fruit. I mean, we've gone over this. This is like a big thing we talk about at ACSH, as you know, since you're an incoming writer, like fed, like our kids are being fed and they're being fed good food. And we shouldn't put that pressure on parents to now have to think about organic. Well,
and then also like there are like vitamin and nutrients that are in the strawberries that are good for them, right? And there is a tiny, tiny dose of pesticides. Rinse it off, okay? We're exposed to so much stuff at such low levels to the point where they don't really affect us. Now, because a study shows that if they eat 5 billion strawberries, they'll get the enough dose to cause harm. My child doesn't eat 5 billion strawberries because I can afford that. I cannot afford.
We'd have a bigger issue.
5 billion strawberries. And not to mention, if I let them eat that much strawberries, we'd have a different issue with the diaper, because with my 2-year-old. So,
oh boy, yes, there are a multitude of things that come with that.
Yes, there's things. So yeah, so I physically will not let my child eat that many because of that. Not to mention the fact that it would be physically impossible.
I think that so much of that gets lost. So much of the evidence, if you will, I'll keep using that term, gets lost in the misinformation that is on social media. And, you know, if you are a misinformed mom, a misinformed parent, and the algorithm is continuously showing you these things, at some point you give in. I mean, you do. You stop and think like, am I doing the right thing here? Am I shopping at the right stores?
All it takes is one video getting shown to you, right? One video.
Yes.
And you watch it and you go, what is this person saying? And they like, I've had a video where this person was promoting like raw milk or whatever. And I watch it because I'm like, this is stupid. Why is she saying this? And so I'm like looking at it, reading her doubts, but I watched the video. Right? So now my algorithm is like, oh, she's watched all 20 seconds of this video. She must like this. And then all of a sudden you're getting bombarded with all of these other influencers who are saying things like in the same realm it's not necessarily true. And I'm just like, oh, no. And I can see how someone who doesn't know better, who doesn't like watches one video, right? And then all of a sudden their feed is just inundated with all of this other stuff. And after being exposed to it for so long, like, of course they're going to start to wonder. Of course they're going to start to think it's true. And then all of a sudden, like, the way the algorithms work is the more you watch it, the more they're going to show you.
Of course.
Right?
And I've always said this to my husband. I said, if I did not work for the American Council on Science and Health and I relied simply on my social media to get my news or get my science and health facts, which luckily I would never do that. But if that is all that was being fed to me without the context and the background and knowing these amazing experts at ACSH who can sort of like give you the nuance to scary headlines and alarming headlines, I don't know. Like, I have learned so much in the last, decade being on and off with ACSH and now being back full time, is I'm just so grateful to have evidence-based writers at the organization that can be like, yes, but, right? Like, yes, your strawberries have a residue of pesticides residue on them, but guess what? Guess what you need to do? Wash them. Wash them thoroughly, feed them to your kids. Please don't throw away the carton of strawberries. That's just ridiculous. And strawberries is just one example, but it's so many of those things that I think stack up. Parents don't even know where to turn anymore. The latest thing being the vitamin K injections, which I think you've written about as well. You've done a lot in your short time with us at ACSH, so you have a lot to say.
I've read a couple. So I did write an article about the vitamin K injection because it was just popping up my feed, and they were like, this is bad, like, don't do this. And I'm like, well, why is it bad? What's going on? And my kids got it, so I was like, okay, why do people think this is bad when it's not? So I did a little bit of research, and I found that the vitamin K shot is just so important and such a medical marvel, okay? Because babies were literally dying of brain bleeds, right? At alarming rates. Okay, I say alarming just because I don't remember the statistics in front of me, but there were a lot of babies that were dying, and it was hard. There's not like a diagnostic tool, and what they found was that these babies, when they're born, they don't have a huge reserve of vitamin K. Vitamin K is important because it helps with blood clotting. So blood clotting occurs when like a wound happens and then a little clot forms and it stops you from bleeding. So it's very, very important. Okay. Now these babies don't have the vitamin K, so they don't clot. So they just keep bleeding. Okay. Now this could be hugely bad, especially when it occurs in the brain for babies. And, they learn that vitamin K, getting them high amounts of vitamin K really quickly after birth reduces these rates of vitamin K deficiency bleeding and even death. And it's just so wonderful, right? Like the fact that my baby is not going to die to this because he got a simple shot. And I say shot because it is not a vaccine, right? Sure. The syringe is essentially a delivery method. Okay, it's a vitamin. It's got a couple extra ingredients to stabilize it, to make it be absorbed better from your tissues, and a little bit to preserve because we don't want it like expiring and going bad and like things growing in it, right? So they put all those things in there to make it the bare minimum, so that way when a baby gets a shot, the solution is balanced. It's going to go in there. It's going to do what it needs to do and nothing else. Okay. Now, the simple fact that it's delivered by a syringe seems to have made it fair game for those who are essentially against vaccines, but it's not the same thing as a vaccine. It's a vitamin. It's a vitamin.
But again, I mean, you reiterate this several times, but it is one of the biggest misconceptions out there, is that people hear it's a vaccine and it's like, great, my baby was just born and here's a jab, right away. And I think like now, I mean, this was not an issue when when we had children, right? That was just standard protocol after you gave birth. And I was confident with the medicine, the science, and the doctors. And now doctors in the delivery rooms are, of course, faced with this, maybe dilemma is not the right term, but, they're approaching parents with this information. And now they're actually saying, wait, some of these parents are actually going to decline this.
Yeah.
So it's a really scary scenario that we're in, and it just happened this year and it went viral. And you know what they say, like the bad news or the wrong information will travel so much faster than good news or the correct
information. Especially when someone can take it and sensationalize it, right?
Yes.
Like a vaccine after birth can kill. I'm like, no, the baby's gonna be a little sore. They got a needle put into their, I think, their thigh or their arm. They got a needle put into them. Like, their muscles are going to be a little sore. There's going to be a small amount of tissue damage. But if my baby's sore for a little bit, they're not going to remember it. And it's going to save them potentially a catastrophic brain bleed. Like, give them the shot, please. Please give them the shot. Like, I cannot imagine if, like... I denied that, and then he was one of the statistically low probability of getting one of those bleeds. Like, I couldn't even imagine.
Sure. I mean, I think as a pregnant mother-to-be, you are doing right off the bat everything that you can to keep you and your baby in your uterus safe, right?
Right.
And so to make such a decision within hours of your baby being born based on misinformation and something that unfortunately you saw on social media and the algorithm kept feeding it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it's something like 10, I think maybe you mentioned it, 10 to 15 seconds of watching something, and that's where your algorithm spikes, So it's whether you're watching it because you're genuinely interested in it or just for information, right? And so to make that kind of decision within hours of your baby being born, and unfortunately to make the wrong decision, I just don't understand, and I don't know how doctors are navigating that.
I can't even imagine. And the most horrifying thing is if you take medical advice from someone who's preaching that this is bad, don't do this, it's bad for your baby, and then you don't do it and something does happen to your baby, like, you can't really hold that person accountable, right? Like, otherwise there'd be lawsuits left and right from these people giving bad advice. And so they're just going to keep giving bad advice. But if you look on their website, you can buy their vitamins.
Yes, and that's a really good point. We tend to turn to social media and, listen to the wellness influencers, but I think I did a story and a video not too long ago about, hey, if you want a wellness influencer, look to your primary care doctor. They have been influencing your wellness literally for as long as you've been a patient with them, for years, for decades, right? So why not reach out to your primary care doctor about any medical concerns that you have.
Talk to your pediatrician. Talk to the doctor who delivered the baby. Like, why should I give this? Why should I? Is there any reason why I should not? And I will say that I actually did a ton of research when I was pregnant with my son to try and find, like, doctors on the internet who were trying to, like, counteract the misinformation out there. And I did find some truly wonderful, I don't really want to call them influencers because they're they're doctors. Their main job is they're doctors. And occasionally they put their phone in front of them and they're like, I heard this is ridiculous, and this is why.
But that is the new way of information, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying, like, you actually had to go to the internet to find the non-quacks, so to speak, right?
I hunt them down.
I need evidence.
Like, tell me why I should or shouldn't do this. And with my background, right? So I'm a science teacher. I have a degree in kinesiology. I know a little bit about science. So I know how to do some research. I'm not an expert by any means, but I know how to do some research. I know how to look at stuff and go, okay, that's not necessarily true, or, oh, they took that out of context. So I have, like, a foundation. Not everyone does. Not everyone does. If you're going to something where you're nowhere in a STEM field and you just have these people telling you things, like, you don't have the foundational background to go back on. And I feel like these people are potentially taking advantage of that.
So I'm so curious, because that's a really good perspective. You have a little bit of foundational knowledge where you can just kind of go, okay, you step back and you go, all right, hold on a second. So how is that navigating in your friends group, with your, mom groups, if you have any? Like, I'm just so curious about, like, whether your circle is appreciative of your knowledge. Do you ever get any pushback?
I don't know. I laugh because there's definitely people who are very much in their opinion is right. Right? Regardless if it's factually right. Their opinion is right.
Send them this podcast after we're done.
Right. I have a distinct memory of being at a party, a kid's party, and this guy was going on about how his mother-in-law chopped off a piece of licorice and gave it to his young child, and he like freaked out because of the red 40. And I was like, why weren't you concerned about the choking hazard that was put into your young child's mouth? More about a dye. The eminent concern would be that your child chokes on this hard piece of candy that they should not have, and go after your mother-in-law or mother, whoever it was, for giving them candy.
Sure.
When they don't have teeth, when they don't have the means to take. I'm like... But,
oh man. So there's always like the more dangerous part, right? That they're not focused on, but they heard something on the news.
Right.
That's
and
making
they're like,
them stop.
And they go all in without doing much research. And I'm like, I have learned so much about you in the last minute. I've learned so much about you last minute. And I've had, one of my children has eczema, and it's been a huge, huge issue. And doctor's appointments and ointments and creams, and it's been a long journey.
Sure.
And I was talking to someone who I felt comfortable talking about, and I got told, speaking of vitamin K, I got told, well, did you give them the vitamin K vaccine? And I was like, of course I gave them the vitamin K vitamin K shot. Of course I did.
That's where they went.
And they're like, well, that's probably why they have eczema. And I was like, how dare you blame me giving my child a potentially life-saving prophylactic treatment with a health struggle that we're having. Like, how dare you? Like, there's no evidence to support that. But someone on the internet told them that that's probably, like, it causes this, it causes eczema. I'm like...
I think there is again, there's pressure for people to find solutions, right? As a parent.
Absolutely. But everything is nuanced. And there's never...
Going back to the red dye, like, listen, red dye in cereals, I've heard it, I get it, but it's like, well, I don't get it, because where I go with it is like, if your child's diet is cereal every day, like, I think you have bigger issues, perhaps.
Right. My concern with the red dye is that, like, children are young. Maybe they shouldn't be having the things with red dye because they're hard candies.
Typically, yeah.
Or they're high in sugar. And
of course,
I'm worried about cavities. So I'm not saying no sugar, but we definitely have a lower sugar household, right? Yep. Don't get me wrong. Love myself some cupcakes. But, like, we don't have sweets just in the house all the time, right? And there are foods that do have the red food dye that aren't high in sugar, but most of them are. So, like, my concern is the sugar. That's, of course, in that contact that has the dye, not necessarily the cereal or the Skittles or whatever the heck it is.
Right. Yeah. Like, if your kid is consuming a lot of red dye, chances are they're having cereal, they're having Skittles. Like you said, they're having red
licorice.
Powerades, Gatorades, whatever, licorice. They're having all of these things that ultimately have a ton of sugar. So why aren't you concerned with that? Why are you pinpointing to something that you read on the internet? Because again, we as parents love our children. We, of course, want the best for them, and we're trying to look for solutions. And unfortunately, the solutions are not always on the internet. And I say that out of both sides of my mouth because here we are on the internet, right? Like, I think that there is a need, a perpetual need for evidence-based moms, and
right?
evidence-based
Absolutely.
parenting to sort of climb up to the surface and say, like, you're not screwing up your children. you're doing fine with the knowledge and correct information that you have, and you just gotta just chill. Just
Right.
chill and be present.
Right at the end. Okay, so I did a Mother's Day post. I did a Mother's Day post about all of the things that moms do. Right, we're there. We love and we hug on our children. We're present. We are doing the things we need to do, and we're checking their grades. We're doing all of these things, and based on like the articles I'm reading, like all of that stuff is what makes a good person. It helps them grow. It helps them develop. It helps them turn into the wonderful person you want them to be. And everything else is just window dressing, right? Being present, showing up, loving your children. That is what they need. Fighting on the internet over red dye, vaccines and stuff. Like, take that time, put it towards your kids.
Put it towards your kids.
Put it towards your kids.
Gotta listen really closely for the key to successful parenting from Desiree English. I love it.
I mean, I'm no expert. I am no expert, but I
think we are we have to be the experts for our children, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And we are their guiding light, and I think our guiding light needs to be experts that know what the heck they're talking about. And again, we go back to your pediatricians, your healthcare providers, and people who know the science.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, my children's pediatrician she's wonderful. I ask her all sorts of intense questions, like randomly, and she's just like, "Oh yeah, you're fine. You're doing a good job." I'm like, "Thanks, Doc."
Doing a good job, Mom. And hey, if you listen to more than 15 seconds of this podcast, hopefully we switched your algorithm as well, and we pivoted to more science-based information that's good for you and your children. Oh my goodness, I feel like we're coming to the end here.
I know.
We need to drop a survey to our listeners. Like, did you love us? Yes or yes? Those are the only options to answer, yes or yes.
You can say most definitely. That's a good one. Yes, okay, most definitely.
Yes, most definitely. Back to answer A. All right. Hey, listen, seriously though, did you love us? We want to thank all of you, our listeners. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. Our handle is at ACSH Science. We're on YouTube, ACSH on TV. Of course, we're on Facebook. We're on X. We're everywhere. So if you want some evidence-based advice, evidence-based science, be sure to click that like button. Thank you for indulging us and welcoming this mom pod takeover. I don't know. Should we do it again?
I mean, I'm always
too soon to tell.
I'm always willing to chat with you. We seem to get along quite well.
I think, Cameron has built an incredible show with his loyal audience. So thank you, Cameron, for letting us borrow the mic for a little while. But, whether you're a regular listener or you just stumbled upon us here on this episode because the keyword said mom, we appreciate you being here and giving us a chance. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, guys. See you next time.
Bye-bye.